Hey folks, today I have one of the most exciting unboxings I think I've ever done on the channel, certainly one of the most valuable, and it's inside this inconspicuous brown box. Let's take a look. Okay folks, before we jump into the unboxing, jump on over to macgranger.com. If you sign up to my mailing list, I'll send you out a free copy of my guide to improving your portraiture. You can also check out my different travels, tours, and workshops that I've got going on all around the world. So, I'm sure from the title you already know what to expect. Today we're unboxing the Hasselblad X1D medium format mirrorless camera, but this is something a little bit more special. So first of all, the X1D was first announced in the middle of the year last year, 2017, and it was the world's first medium format mirrorless system. There's been another one since then, but this one really excites me for a number of reasons. So let's first unbox this and show you what's inside the main box, and then we'll talk specifics. I love these cases. I always feel like maybe I could be mistaken for a spy. And it also has an extra little accessory pack here. So this is actually their field kit. Now this is coming with the camera body, the 3 lenses that are currently available, the 30mm, the 45mm, and the 90mm, and it's got a space for their next lens that's coming, the 120mm. So first of all, let's start the gear pawn. So this is a really rugged case. It's got solid inserts that have been cut out. This is made for travel. This is really to be able to take this expensive kit wherever you're going to be shooting. So I have currently the 90mm attached to the body there. So just to take a look at the size of it, I really think that these are a work of art. The design of the body, I think, is the most gorgeous camera I've seen in a long, long time. Certainly of any modern, currently made camera, I think it's head and shoulders above them in terms of design. But of course, looks don't pay the bill, so we're gonna have to see how it actually performs as well. This video, however, is just an unboxing. So whilst I unbox all of this and show you through a few different things, I should say there's 5 reasons that I'm really interested and excited by the X1D as a system. The first one is the leaf shutter. Now, you know, all the Hasselblads have had this. It means that the shutter itself is actually inside the lens. That does tend to make the lenses even more expensive, but it has one huge advantage, and at the moment this is the only one on the market that has that feature. It means your sync speed for matching your flash to your camera is much more flexible. On a DSLR, you're normally looking at, say, 1/180th of a second, maybe 1/200th. On the flagship cameras, 1/250th of a second. For some other medium format mirrorless out there, it's just down at 1/125th of a second. These will let you sync all the way up to a 2,000th of a second. Because the shutter itself is in the lens lets you go up to a 2,000th of a second, so you're able to sync successfully all the way up to that. So useful for portrait photographers if you're using flash and you want to be able to control the daylight ambient. That's a really big one. I'm so glad they went with that design. The second one, no surprise, is the beautiful big sensor. Now this is medium format. It's not as big as, say, the 100 megapixel sensor, but it's bigger than full frame. So, you know, when we're talking about full frame versus APS-C, we say that APS-C has a 1.5 times crop, so a 50mm lens, you get a field of view equivalent of 75mm. Well, this has a crop factor that's actually negative. It's 0.08. So on these ones, something like a 90mm lens actually ends up having an equivalent field of view of about 71mm of focal length because of that crop factor. So it's not a huge sensor, but it is that much bigger than 35mm. And as I said, it's the same one that you're getting in their full-size H6D 50C, which is significantly more expensive than this one, so that's pretty cool. Third thing is the responsiveness of the developers. I have to say, I watched some reviews early on when this first came out and people complaining about buggy touchscreen and different issues, and they've released a whole bunch of firmware updates, and I've actually been using this for 2 weeks already, and it's been performing really quite well. So it seems they've really improved that and listened to the feedback they got, and they've just added in a full electronic shutter, which means you can go up to a 10,000th of a second, and that means now you're going to be able to adapt any lenses to put onto these and be able to use them. And I've heard that a lot of Nikon lenses, well not a lot, but some Nikon lenses, even though they're 35mm, throw an image circle big enough to cover this sensor, including my 55 and 85mm Otises. So that's pretty exciting to see that coming along. The fourth is the design. I already talked about it. I think it's just gorgeous. I think it's quite telling that they really love the design as well. The handmade in Sweden is just as big as the actual model number on the top of the camera. It's a gorgeous camera, and whilst the shape may be a little bit unconventional, I've been walking around with this hand holding it without even really a strap for days, and it's super comfortable to shoot with. The only thing, getting to the AF/MF button on top is a little bit of a stretch, and it took a bit of an adjustment. You can't really go around the front, you have to go over the top. But the design, I think, is a big winner. We'll talk through the specs in just a second, but the fifth thing that I love about this, it's a thing that all companies, when they launch a new system, struggle with, is you're starting from scratch. This is designed from the ground up, you know, to be optically great, but it means they're starting with completely different lenses. So at the moment, this kit gives you the three that they have, the 30, the 45, and the 90. But they've already announced a roadmap, and I think that's really helpful to give people confidence into buying into a system that it's going to be supported. So next up is a 120mm macro. That's the equivalent of just under 100mm in 35mm speak. Then they're bringing out a 35 to 75mm zoom lens, which is great because when they announced that, they were saying that zooms were going to be really difficult to actually design. So that's about a 28 to 60mm. Then a 65mm prime, that's the equivalent of just over 50mm, and then also a 22mm prime, which is going to be around 17mm in 35mm speak. So then you're suddenly getting a fairly well-rounded lens system. So that's pretty great. So, field kit. You get the case, you get the three lenses, it comes with two of the batteries, and actually I have to say it's a little bit geeky of me, but I love the battery design on this one there. To keep space down, the battery is the door as well, so it clips in and it's weather sealed. So it's got the seal built onto the battery itself, and then it's got a great mechanism for dropping out, like the Leica Q actually, where you hit it once and it drops, but then you have to touch it to actually release it. So, you know, it's easy enough to change batteries when you're out and about shooting. Let's take a look at what else comes in the kit. So a bit of literature. I probably maybe will read that. The strap itself, I actually don't know if that comes with the kit, but I got this one to test out, as I said, a couple of weeks ago, and just got the kit today to actually have a look at the whole box set. So that's the strap that comes with the camera. Then in here, this is the charger with international plug adapters. Pretty straightforward. And just all the adapters in there. So you've got a cutout in the box that will let you take the charger and a few other accessories as well. A kit like this with an expensive body and all three lenses is a big investment. I have to say, everyone I've met who owns this camera so far bought all three of the lenses. So having it come in a kit where you get a bit of a discount, get the carry case and the extra accessories, I think for those who are actually in the market for a camera like this, it's a pretty smart idea. So let's take a look. We have a cleaning cloth handy, a lens pen that's Hasselblad branded, that's nice. Oh, and yep, with a tip on the other end. Then rocket blower, so just little stuff that you might get thrown in with a normal camera, but theirs are all their own ones. Pouches for the three lenses. I guess if you were not taking it in this and you want to put them into a different bag, then having a pouch to carry it in is handy. I mean, all my Nikon lenses came with pouches, and I don't actually really use them. I put them in padded bags, but I guess it depends how you travel. Then a Hasselblad branded hand strap. Now this I like, because I said I walk around with this so often just like that, having a strap to at least hold it to your hand is really handy. When I tend to put things on a sling and use a black rapid, but having the hand strap, I know a lot of people shoot that way, and this camera I think is kind of designed for it. And then it's coming with a long USB-C cable, which is actually used for tethering. So that's handy that they gave you a long one that's long enough to tether. Now, let's actually talk through the specs of the camera and lenses, because coming with that may be a little bit of a surprise. And I have to say, for such a traditional company like Hasselblad, when they announced this and being the first mirrorless medium format camera, there was a few things in it that really blew my mind. I don't want to do a full spec thing here, but it's got dual SD cards, handy, something that we waited so long on for other manufacturers to put in. This came with that in their first generation. Then USB-C, which is, again, great. There's not a lot of manufacturers that are putting the latest, fastest technology into them. So having that, especially when the RAWs for this camera are like 110 megabyte. By the way, if you check the link, mattgranger.com/X1D, I've got some RAWs there that you can check out. Having USB-C is going to be really handy. Then we've also got a mic in and a headphone out. Again, things that are so often left out of cameras. The menu system is incredibly simple to follow, which again, surprised me because this is their first time making something like this. So one thing that I read was that people found that the touchscreen was buggy, that it wasn't selecting autofocus points too well. Maybe that got fixed in the last couple of rounds of firmware updates, because I haven't had a single time where the touchscreen didn't work accurately where I was touching, and it just kind of worked. Okay, let's take a look at each of the lenses. The 90mm is an f3.2. As I said, it's got a crop factor, and the 3.2 you actually get a shallower depth of field than you would with a 35mm 3.2 lens. This one will let you focus from 70 centimeters to infinity. Like I said, the equivalent focal length is 71mm. It's got the built-in shutter that goes up to a 2,000th of a second. It's got 10 elements in 8 groups. It's got a 67mm front filter thread, and this one's coming in at 620 grams. So in the scheme of things, it's an all metal lens, it's weather sealed as well, but it's not terribly heavy. The next one is the 45mm, which is the equivalent of about a 35. An f3.5, again, a 67mm front filter thread. This has 9 elements in 7 groups, and this one's significantly lighter again at just under 420 grams. And the last one, which again, this just arrived today, I haven't shot with this yet, but everyone has been raving about the quality of this lens, is the 30mm f3.5, which is the equivalent of about 24mm in 35mm. It sits in between the other two in terms of weight. This one's just over 500 grams, and this has 11 elements in 10 groups, and it's got a 77mm front filter thread. Okay, so that's it for the field kit. You get the 3 lenses, the body, all the accessories, and the case at a price though, of course, right? It is slightly cheaper than buying all of the parts individually, and you get the case and whatnot. But this is for someone who was already intending to get a camera like this, who wants the 50 megapixel but wants it to be portable, and you get the bonus of having all of that. For me, I'm just happy to have it in to test out for a while and have a little playmate for my 503CW. It gives you an idea of how far they've come, and I think it's really great to see that an old company like this is innovating and bringing out some pretty cool products that have things in them that a bunch of mainstream and even progressive mainstream companies haven't gotten into the market yet. So I'll be interested to see where this heads to next. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you'd like to see filmed or tested out with the X1D whilst I have it on loan, and we'll see you soon.